Well, Andy, had an eventful one last night.
Oh, God.
I was at that game, picked a good one to go to, had some pretty awesome seats, got to see the whole thing up front, and welcome presented by Under Armour. Welcome to Light Years. As I was saying, I've never seen a scuffle on an NBA court that close. Like the closest I've been to a scuffle like that's like on a pickup court.
You need to tell me. You need to tell me. Did Joe Lacob step onto the court at any point during the kerfuffle?
I don't think so. I'm going to be honest. Like my attention was solely on the players. So by the time I started scanning the crowd to see how other people were doing, they had, they'd already separated. The joke was over. So, if he did, I missed it out of the periphery because, to be honest, Clay and McDaniels are huge, and seeing them fly around, I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then Gobert jumps in there, and then, it was a thing. But you know what? Now we're here. Woo! Arrest Draymond Twitter is incredibly excited right now.
It's the best.
We're recording this Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. We have already got a Woj report that they're assessing additional suspension. If you're listening to this by now, you saw the video footage. You know what happens. I'm not breaking news to you. Draymond got Rudy Gobert in a headlock, and they're assessing how many extra games. Let's start with the initial suspension or the initial ejection. What'd you think of that ejection? You're not plugged in. You're on mute. I can hear your mic now. There you go.
I see why.
There you go. Okay, you're good.
So when I first saw it happen, by the way, it was a 0-0 game. Nobody had scored for over 2 minutes. I thought this was the best thing that ever happened. The energy was amazing. The teams definitely don't like each other for whatever reason outside of just Rudy Gobert. I feel like they don't feel like now they've got a thing with Anthony Edwards. Mike Conley was on those old Memphis teams. I genuinely think this is the new version of Houston Rockets / Memphis Grizzlies of a few years ago because the Grizzlies are a joke now. Sam, this is what the NBA needs. This is what the NBA needs. They need the hatred. They need the passion. They need people to give a shit about mid-November games. I thought that was amazing.
It legitimately felt like a playoff game the entire time. And people are going to say it's tournament energy, but you know what it was? It was the scuffle off the bat. It was no more complicated than that.
And no other team in the NBA is like that. You can argue whether this is a good or bad thing for the NBA. You can argue whether Draymond took it too far. But dude, he didn't knock someone out. He didn't dirty kick someone. Nobody got hurt. I just thought, dude, this is what sports is about, right? This happens every Sunday in football. This happens when baseball players throw at each other, which I think is extremely dangerous, but at least there's passion there. With basketball, I literally saw a tweet or a note yesterday from Monty McCutcheon saying, we take out taunting because the play gets too passionate. Players get too passionate and something bad can happen. It's like, dude, from taunting to fighting are 4 different steps, right? Can we get the first and second step to matter first in the NBA? Because that's what's amazing. So I thought this was great. But at the same time, and I'll kind of end up pausing, I thought at the same time, I mean, he deserved to be ejected, right?
Yeah. It's so
after all that,
once
he deserved it.
Once you put someone in a headlock and hold it for more than a second, you're getting kicked out. What shocked me was Gobert didn't get kicked out. And honestly, they probably would have won the game if he did. But that's a different story. I don't even think the results of the game matters too much right now. He grabbed Clay, and I guess I'm just confused on how, I understand Clay and McDaniels getting ejected. I understand Draymond getting ejected. Not going to argue. By the letter of the law, anytime you like kind of escalate a situation, you get kicked out. That's just kind of, it is what it is, right? You know? But how's...
I don't know why. I don't know why he's grabbing. I don't know why Gobert's grabbing Clay when his own teammate, he could just grab him. Isn't that what most basketball players do? They just grab their own teammates and push them back. Isn't that what's normal?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I'm just like. And then Draymond went in there because he grabbed Clay, and then Draymond did extra stuff because he hates Gobert. Like, let's be honest about everything that happened, and I'm okay with that. I don't really care, but enough of the like Gobert was acting as a peacemaker. That just, come on, man, you're lying. That's not what happened here. That's not an honest interpretation. And honestly, I think Draymond's going to get more than 5 games for this. We'll find out end of today, or I think probably Thursday morning. We'll find out before the OKC game, but he's going to get an elevated suspension because he's Draymond. And that kind of sucks, but well, let's just get to it. I'm going to pull up the Gobert quotes because I understand why the Warriors dislike Gobert. Gobert essentially got embarrassed by a guy who's 8 inches shorter than him. Draymond's pushing 6'6". Gobert is 7'2", 7'3". He got owned by Draymond because Draymond is tougher than him. That's not a question, you know? Like, and then we get these quotes from him, you know. It was a long time. If he knew how to choke, it could have been way worse, but his intentions were to take me out. It's like, relax, buddy. Relax. He ran his mouth post game afterwards for an extended period of time. Let's get more. He was grabbing me. He grabbed me. The choke wasn't good enough. Yeah, it wasn't enough. Like, it's just, I don't know if we need to. I don't know. And then he talks about relive.
No, he brings up the Steph one. He talks about how you know, Draymond doesn't play when Steph doesn't play. That's clown behavior. It says clown behavior a couple times, and I mean that's just not. Look, man, I don't think he should have been choked out, but I'm not going to sit here and act like nothing was his fault out there.
I also think if the NBA is going to give Draymond a suspension for escalation, which they will, and it'll be longer than any of us are happy with because he has a history. We all know how this is going to play out. Gobert needs to be assessed something at this too, because it's like he gets to run his mouth. They just have to kind of take it. They're just going to do more going forward, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not how do I put it politely? It's like one of those things where it's like by mediating it one way, you're actually making it so that they're probably going to be more aggressive the whole way through. You know, like next time they play, they'll be more aggressive.
I think also to go back a little bit, I actually don't think Clay and Jane McDaniels should have been ejected. I thought that was kind of big. I thought it was.
I mean, I would prefer that too. I've just maybe I've been beaten down by the reality of the
NBA. Yeah. I mean, they didn't punch each other. It was a shoving match. It kind of pulled each other. I thought maybe flagrant run or text and keep it moving is what I thought. Obviously, the Draymond stuff took it to another level, but. I don't know, man. It was kind of weak. The Clay and Jaden McDaniels one. Yeah, but I think back to Draymond, 5 games minimum, if I had to guess. And maybe we'll find out by the time the show comes. But like I think 5 minimum he's done for. And to your point about them playing more aggressive, I do think other teams are going at the Warriors thinking, man, these guys are kind of like
they're kind of washed. They're kind of old. There's a lot of people who had their asses kicked by the Warriors see them as this is our time to kind of get them back.
And I also think they think that they can get under their skin. I think they think that if we can just mess with Clay or Draymond, like they'll pop a few. Now Steph isn't there. Steph is fine. You can't get under his skin. But I think those two guys, and I think Clay, especially these last few years, you saw the 4 fingers to Devin Booker when they're down by 20. I think a lot of these teams are saying, hey man, we don't even have to beat these guys. We can just mess with them. And they'll kind of just blow a gasket because they're, like you said, they're kind of over the hill and they're fighting back, and it's not the right way to fight back, right? Like they're not going out there and they're not beating teams at fighting back that way. They're fighting back literally And that's not. I think other teams are looking at them and saying, "Yeah, this is easy pickings for us." Jaden McDaniels is sitting there like, "I'm the worst player in this starting lineup. You kick me out, I'm good." Right? What does he care?
Ain't that the worst player in the starting?
Yeah, he is.
I just went through and I'm like, maybe, because I think he's good.
He is, but he's the worst
third best player on the Warriors. So
better than Wiggins. We'll get to him. Better than Wiggins, but he's the worst player, right? Like they need Conley. Like that's the other guy, right? But still, like you'll take that. You'll take that every day. If the Warriors lose,
the other option would be saying Gobert is the worst player on the Wolves. So, but he's better. Yeah, he's better than. Yeah, I mean. When you say it that way, now I'm like, God, they got a pretty nice starting five. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's a different topic. You know what I also think is interesting about the Draymond thing? Players, look at who players are taking, whose side they're taking.
Oh,
Evan
really?
Turner, and obviously Evan's going to be probably a little biased in the Draymond camp. He goes, my only take: don't throw the book at Draymond for being a good teammate. He didn't start a fight, nor did he throw a punch, to be honest. Would it have been better if he just pushed Rudy to the ground? He low-key just removed him from the situation with a rear naked choke. I'm assuming he's laughing as he's typing it because it's a hilarious explanation. But, I mean, if you want to really get into it, it's like, yeah, he didn't punch him. He saw him holding Clay. He jumped in there and got Gobert out of it. And, we move on. Not that big a deal. I think this is a generous interpretation, but it does kind of, I do get the mindset here is like, come on, man. He's being a good teammate. He was supporting his teammate. Nobody got hurt. Do we really need to make it more than this? Which I think was your initial point anyway.
Yeah.
It's not how it's going to play out, but it is...
If it was Kevon Looney, how long do you think the suspension is?
If Looney did that, I'm not convinced he gets suspended. I think he's just thrown out of the game. Yeah. Maybe one game.
Right, right.
If it's really anyone else on the team, if it's Dario Saric, a game, like, hey, man, you escalate, blah, blah, blah. You're out for the next game. Because Draymond has a track record, it's going over 5.
What's the closest, Sam? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but like, what's the closest suspensions that's been that's close? Is the Isaiah Stewart one is kind of close? Like that was.
I was thinking. You know who I was thinking? I was thinking Ron Artest.
Oh, that was a while ago. Oh, I see what your point is.
It was a while ago, but particularly late career Ron Artest, like the last couple of years with the Lakers, like it was a little like Draymond. He could still defend.
Yeah, right.
He still scared people. There was a lot more antics because he wasn't the athlete he used to be. And he'd cross the line. And in some ways, I think it is like Draymond, where I'm not even sure it's as intentional. It was just kind of like you're slower to the spot, so you're throwing more bows and stuff like that. Anyway, that's a different situation. But Ron Artest sticks in my mind as similar. Yeah, and he was, let's see.
I was going to say, is there a number? Because I was just looking at Isaiah Stewart, and he got suspended 2 games for blowing a gasket that one time. So, like, you would think that's the starting point for where Draymond's going to be in the
that one was insane against the Lakers, right? Where he's running around the court, and I'm like...
LeBron of all people. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're going to fight LeBron? The fuck are you doing?
I thought... The one I thought of, I could finally... I found Ron Artest in 2012 got 7 games for elbowing James Harden in the face. And it was, let's see if I can find the actual, he like cocked up and elbowed him. And he got 7 games. And that was, at that point, he had the same reputation Draymond had. Like when he got into it, it's like, oh, it's him again, that sort of thing. And I don't even, he swung his elbow, hit Harden really hard. He was kind of lucky Harden didn't. Well, this is OKC Harden. This is before we really got hip to the ways of his flopping. But it was that thing. He got 7 games for the elbow
hip to the ways of his flopping is killing me.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. I think that's honestly where he's going to land. Somewhere between 5 to 10 is my guess.
All right. Yep. I agree. I'm with you.
The chat mentions Ben Simmons got 0 games for choking out Cat. That's hilarious.
Well, the NBA needs Ben Simmons to give a shit more. So yeah, they should be trying to get him on the court, not suspending him off the court. So I think that was the right move.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else we want to talk about on the Draymond thing?
Nah.
It just is what it is. Like, are you? I think you had a good point there. Like, it's easier to get under their skin these days.
Yeah, didn't we just talk about the Cavs game where like, hey, I get you want to get you want to play with a chip on your shoulder and go crazy, but you can't get thrown out of those games. And literally the next game he's gone. I know we'll get to the game, but I think
two games later.
God, yeah, right. That was 2 games. And don't you like? We'll get to it, but I do think a lot of times when Draymond does this, he wants to light a fuse on his team, and it worked. But you're the best player on the court right now for the Warriors, or second. You can't get booted out. But again, like, whatever, man. We've seen it so many times. I don't go waste my breath talking about what he should or shouldn't do. This is what he does do every year. So I know.
I wouldn't be surprised if this ignites them and they come together a little more. I also wouldn't be surprised if it does nothing and if they just keep drifting. They're on a 4-game losing streak right now.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
They're going to play. Well, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think whether he gets 10 games or 4 games or whatever it will be, you and I are both in agreement he will not be playing Thursday against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that is our Under Armour matchup of the week. So I think when you consider the fact that they've lost 4 in a row and almost assuredly Draymond will not play in that game, I don't want to call it a must win, but it's feeling like they need to reverse this before 4 losses turns into 8 to 10 straight losses. Because right now, they were 6-2, and we were like, things are looking good, and now they're 500. And, if they falling a game under 500 in the 13th game of the season doesn't necessarily mean anything. But given the stakes of it, given the Draymond suspension, the losing streak, and I don't know, the vibes don't feel as bad as they felt last year, but they don't feel overly confident when they're playing to me. And we haven't even talked about it, but like, is Steph playing on Thursday? Probably not.
Yeah.
So all this stuff ties together to a game that's going to be incredibly difficult to win and one that they probably have to have.
Yeah. And it's a difficult matchup because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be back. He didn't play the first game, and he was incredible against the Spurs last night they played, and they've got Chet Holmgren. I will say, Sam, I do think in a short burst, they could be okay without Draymond, because you can get bursts of Kevon Looney and Trae Jackson-Davis, who again look solid defensively. On offense, things clear up a little bit. Chris Paul is the guy that plays the traffic cop role, and maybe they can get some good shooting around him, right? So I think and more athleticism with more minutes from Kuminga, you would think, and Wiggins is playing hard out there. But I think the real tough, obvious missing piece is Steph, to your point. Is he's probably not going to play. Steve Kerr says he's day-to-day. But he also, in the second breath, says, well, if he misses a game or 2, we're not worried about that. So it sounds like he's going to miss a game or 2. So he's going to miss this OKC game. And that's where it becomes incredibly difficult for a team to score, because last night they looked like a college team out there. They just couldn't score. Now Klay's going to be back, but they still couldn't score. They couldn't make a shot. And this has been going on, Sam, for 12 games for all season, right? So that's tough.
Yeah, on the one hand, we'll get to Podz, and it was a spirited effort considering they didn't have Steph, Klay, or Draymond. On the other hand, they did lose it.
All right. Given that we lost Sam, I'm going to end the segment by saying Steph's 11th signature shoe steps into the second decade of his sneaker career, pulling colorway inspiration from the wonders of a positive and modernized future on and off the court. Do your thing. Change the game. The Curry 11 Future Curry is available now at currybrand.com. All right. Wow. No Samuel. He's gone. I think Adam Silver pulled up and said, "We're done." I think he said, "No more Under Armour Curry brand segment." I think we're done. Hey, I did end with the ad drop, by the way, so we can just like cut straight into that. But we can talk more about the matchup if you want.
No, I mean I was talking going back to the Wolves game. I think what sucks is they, even without Steph, Clay, and Draymond, they should have won that game, and it was Chris Paul messing up the execution down the stretch there. You know, that play where he had the easy shot against and he saw Gobert, thought Gobert probably would have blocked it, so he passed to the corner, goes to the other end, they hit the game winner, and here we are. You know?
Yep.
Frustrating. So let's get into the other parts, because I think
let's go.
Once we get away from the core three, there's two main topics from that game, which I think we have to hit on. One is the positive, which is Podziemski and, to a smaller degree, Trace Jackson-Davis.
Yep.
Breakouts. The rookies look great. The other side of it is the third-year guys look as lost as ever. And so let's
Can we start with the good first? Can we start
let's start with the good, but like those are the two topics. I see the chat's asked us like 5 times. We're going to talk about We'll get there. All right. So Brandin Podziemski. This is my guy. This is the guy I told you on draft night when you're like, when we drafted a point guard from Santa Clara who's like 20 years old for it. I'm like, see, this guy's a hooper. This guy can play. I'm not going to count Looney, because Looney built himself into a player over 4 years off of injuries in a different way. He might be the best basketball player this team's drafted since Draymond Green. It's one game, it's early, but he's 20 years old. He looks like he's never been in a weight room, and he plays the game like a veteran. Like, he just knows what he's doing out there, and he can actually execute it. Kuminga and Moody, I'm watching him, and it's still more theoretical than actual in Kuminga's case. We don't even need to talk about Wiseman or Jacob Evans or, Jordan Poole is a good player, but he's gone, that sort of stuff. I think Podziemski's going to end up being the best player that they've drafted since the Harrison Barnes, Draymond Green, Festus Ezeli, the super draft, right? Like that.
The super draft is great. I think what you said, to go back, about him being the best basketball player is it. That right there is it. And meaning that he has this intrinsic feel for what to do on the court without having to learn it. He already knows it, whatever that is. It being, dude, he just knows where the rebound is going to go. He can get rebounds, even though he's got to be under 6'3", but he's out there getting more boards.
Let me give you the insight.
Is he actually?
He's a legit 6'4". So maybe he measures. I'm trying to give you.
Can he dunk? You think? By the way, I'm just saying this. He's getting more rebounds than Wiggins and Kuminga. So I don't even mean it as a slight. I'm just saying that kid is out there, one of the best rebounders on the team, and he's not athletic. And to your point, okay, I'll give you. So he's 6'4", but he's not athletic, but he's out there getting boards more than guys that should be getting 10 a game without even blinking, right? So that in itself is huge. You can tell he's going to be a great passer. Sam, I think part of that is going to be
immediate. You saw it immediate. First summer league game, you're like, oh, this dude looks like he's been on the Warriors for a decade. He knows how to play. Yeah.
Already. So the shots there, he couldn't make a shot in summer league, but you can see that he can shoot now. He made that lucky one, but he's a shooter. The thing that I think is also absurd is, and that we didn't get to see at all in summer league, and for the guys that watched the what did he play? The WCC or whatever it was in college. He has incredible touch around the basket. Incredible touch. He has an ability to finish within 8 feet. At least I've seen across 12 games that nobody on this team has except for Steph.
There's no team that's harder to finish against inside than the Wolves, or they're at least one of the, like, that's Rudy Gobert's thing.
No, it's like, the hardest. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you throw in their other, like, they're all wingspan at every position with like a 3-time rim protector, defensive player of the year. If you could finish against that, if you can make those little floaters going inside, those little like 5 to 8 foot push shots, you're good, because that's about as hard as it gets in the NBA. And like in summer league, he looked overwhelmed by by length and athleticism from the NBA, right? Like he looked a little overwhelmed. He doesn't now. That's the thing I really like about him is like it reminds me of like Brock Purdy. It's like some guys just learn shit quick, you know? He's fast. In summer league he was overwhelmed by athleticism. 4 months later, he's already adjusted to it, you know? Not to pick on, you know, Wiseman and Kuminga, but what year are we in with those guys? They still haven't figured a bunch of stuff out. Being a fast learner does matter. You know who always sticks in my mind is like a fast learner and that sort of stuff? It's like Draymond. Draymond couldn't, I mean, it looked like he couldn't play NBA offense his rookie year because he couldn't, right? But he was so smart. He just figured out ways to be effective. A completely different style of player, but like bet on the high IQ guy, and we'll be able to figure it out with touch, and he'll get there once he plays a little more than kind of the other way around, a raw athlete who's displayed no ability to play basketball.
Are we throwing Kuminga in the Wiseman grouping now, Sam?
Nowhere near. It's like because Wiseman might be out of the league. Kuminga might be on the Kelly Oubre path.
We'll get to him. It's getting a little tough out there. But from the chat, and I'm not throwing this comp out here yet, but I tweeted last night. He reminds me of this player. This was my favorite player growing up. Looks like Podziemski's favorite player is Steve Nash growing up. I did not know that.
Another Santa Clara legend.
I was going to say, because they went to the same college. Is that why? Probably. But
different player than them, but Jalen Williams. Maybe Santa Clara is like the hidden gold mine.
Jalen Williams.
You know, maybe the Santa Clara Jalen Williams, you know? Maybe
Steve Nash, Podziemski, Jalen Williams.
And the other thing to call out is Herb Sendek's the coach. He was Harden's college coach, Jalen Williams' college coach, and Podziemski's. They all have kind of a similar way they kind of handle an attack a little bit there. So I don't know.
I'm just saying I like the comp. I don't have anything more than that because only one game, Sam. But hey, Steve Kerr talked about how he's going to play more. He blatantly said he's in the rotation moving forward. I assume he's going to play next to Chris Paul because I mean, like I think Podziemski's probably not good enough to play lead guard off the bench, but he's certainly good enough to play a lot of minutes next to Chris Paul. Last night he was very good. So
and maybe he'll get some minutes next to Steph too, because the one take I had coming into this game was they missed Jordan Poole from the sense of just somebody who can create their own offense outside of Steph. Yeah. And I think we all expected Kuminga to hopefully fill that role, but when you go and Chris Paul to fill it in his own way and them to like fill it in the aggregate, right? And it hasn't happened through, a dozen or so games, but where it is happening is with Pajams. He might be that guy. They might not have a choice because they just need another playmaker out there sometimes.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think they maybe long term. I mean, this game was kind of a wash going in. It was exciting. I don't know if you can argue they should have won it, but maybe
they should have won it when they were up down this. Like, given the late game execution, they should have won it. But yeah, if you told me when they got ejected that they'd be in it at the end, I would have been surprised.
But maybe they find something with the Podziemski stuff. I'm still a little like, how much can they find? How much can this Podziemski stuff help them? I think the TJD addition is going to be more important, and he didn't play as much, but he's certainly someone that I think they're going to need a lot more. Because some of this is, man, if Wiggins and Clay are just going to shoot, or if they're going to shoot better, I think it does alleviate a lot of the stuff that Podziemski provides, so you can get away with it. But they do need TJD's athleticism, rebounding, and defense a lot more versus I think some of the guys, especially like Kuminga now, because he's almost playing his way out of the rotation to me.
So that's the other thing. Like, they want Kuminga to be that athletic front court player in the rotation, and he had such a good preseason. And I swear he's gotten worse from game 1 to game 12. And maybe that's inaccurate. Maybe it's just he's just still inconsistent. Preseason was preseason, and it's not that he got worse. It's that he hasn't gotten better since last year, if that makes sense. But if he's going to be that inconsistent, Kerr's going to eventually just continue turning to Trace Jackson Davis because while he lacks the upside with the theoretical shooting and wing shot creation, he does provide front court athleticism, and he knows how to play like a 5. Like he's 6'9", but he knows how to box out. He'll get rebounds. He knows how to finish. He'll get, he knows how to set a screen. He knows how to just do the basics of that role that Looney does, only he's got way more athletic burst than Looney. So part of me wonders if, he's going to end up playing Kuminga out of the rotation. If that happens, then and it's also happening with Moody, where in that one I'm not sure I'm aligned with Kerr on, because I feel like he can shoot he can shoot the ball. He can do certain things. He's been playing good defense. He's been rebounding the hell out of the ball for a wing, right? Like, is Moody a good shot creator? No, that's not, but that's not his role.
I think they're worried about him defensively, but then just put guys around him that are better defensively, right? Then that's where Trace Jackson Davis comes in, and maybe you put Looney next to him a little bit. It gets ugly there, right? It gets a little ugly with that, but that's what you have to do to get Moody to get the ball to shoot, to space the floor. You can't put Corey Joseph in there. I know people are really mad about that, where everyone was. But back to Kuminga, which is, I think, the big one, Sam. That's really, really the big one when you talk about third-year breakouts. That's the guy that even defensively, he's not good right now. Last game, I talked about Kyle Anderson getting past him. Tonight, he's not really fighting back against some of these guys. Naz Reid is a really hard guard for him. Quarantine and Towns are a really hard guard for him. I'm not saying that he should be locking up these guys, but he's allowing. I saw Mike Conley get past him a couple times. Shake Milton's coming back, getting past him. Kuminga should be defensively as good as any of these guys, but you can tell he's just not locked in there, because on offense he's so lost that on defense he's not providing anything, Sam. So
the rebounding's regressed. It's a total regression right now. He looks exactly like kind of the worst parts of how he looked last year. There's no other way around it. Like, I don't know that it's I don't even know that it's regressed. It's I just don't know if he's got better.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I feel it's hard.
I mean, we said this team could be a contender if one, get Wiggins and Clay back to who they've been the last couple of years. But if Kuminga took a step, he was the player I thought had to take a step to provide that extra athletic punch to them. And through 12 games, that hasn't happened. And then even worse than that, like Clay and Wiggins, I haven't seen either of them play worse basketball than what they're playing right now. Wiggins, I'll give him credit. There was a lot of fight for rebounds that happened last night, but he still can't hit a shot. 4 for 15, 1 for 7 from 3. Although I like that he at least took 7. The games where he was only taking 1 3 really worried me, because that's how I knew he was in his own head. Like, he wouldn't even let it rip,
Sam, hold on. Hold on. Steph is out. Clay is out. Andrew Wiggins, 4 for 15, doesn't even crack 10 points. I'm with you. The effort's there. Defense he played on Anthony Edwards at time was incredible. But what the fuck, dude?
Here's my thing. I expect him to be inefficient when he has to take more shots without Steph and Clay. But like, to your broader point, like, when's it coming? Because this is the 12.
What are we doing?
Does the shot look broken to you? Because to me, it doesn't look like he's like massively like changes mechanics.
I mean, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that. It doesn't look like it. It certainly doesn't
not to
look
like the basic eye test. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't look like he's taking some crazy. I mean, he's shooting shots from 2 feet behind the arc where he just gets a screen, doesn't drive it, whatever. Mm-hmm. And also, he's driving into the paint right at Rudy Gobert. It's like, dude, why didn't you do that against Jared Allen? Like, Jared Allen's probably not blocking it, but Rudy Gobert, I mean, the dude's 7'2". Why are you just driving right into him? The one time, because the guy never drives into the paint at all, but he does it 3 straight times and gets blocked every single time. 9 points, Sam. They lose the game by 3. I mean, 9 points, and Clay's not there.
There's like 4 separate games this season we can point to where they lose by like 3 points and Wiggins is 1 for 10. Where he's just like
against
man,
Minnesota
if he just goes 4 for 10, we're good. Yeah, that's the scary thing. Minnesota's always been his like breakout team, in 2 straight games. I guess there was a little juice energy wise, but like I can only give you so much credit for trying. There has to be some final product.
A little embarrassing, of course, worrisome. But they're going to be out Draymond for a while, and Steph's going to be out a couple more games. Sam, he's going to get 15 shots plus again the next few games.
And maybe, and you know what, like positive case, maybe that's the best way to break him out of this. Just like, just keep, dude,
sink or swim.
Yeah, Steph's not here. Just shoot until you start making them. Unless someone can point me to something really structurally wrong, like the popular conspiracy theory is it's not even a conspiracy theory, but like the rib injury, like he's still feeling the effects of it. He can't fully extend on his shot. It's thrown off his rhythm. Like, I get it. Maybe. Could be real. I don't know. It's not like they put it on the injury report. It's not like he says anything. Know. So that feels like you're trying to find a reason.
I was going to say,
just like
bullshit.
More than just like, I don't know, man. He's struggling. He's struggling, and he's just going to have to keep shooting until he stops struggling.
Yeah, I mean, if he's hurt, then don't play. I mean, he doesn't seem hurt when he's trying. He tried so hard last night, and that's part of it. I kind of feel like an asshole, but like he tried so hard last night. He was there getting offensive rebounds and all that stuff. It's just, man, if it's the rib and he's still hurt, then sit out. He played all the preseason games, right? Like, okay, cool. He rehabbed the rib almost all summer. Awesome.
He's not the first player who's had to rehab in offseason. Like, Steph does that every other offseason because half his seasons end with injury. Clay rehab for 3 years in a row. Like Draymond, I've seen him have back issues that keep him from working out all offseason. Like, I can understand that maybe it sets him back a little bit, but this doesn't look like that. I don't know how else to put it. This kind of looks he's just in a funk. Like, he just got to shoot his way out of it.
Yeah, man. Well, he's not a child. We don't have to treat him like a child. All right, Sam, I'm gonna get to the goods here. This week's Light Years podcast is brought to you by the Sleeper app. Are you using the Sleeper app for daily fantasy basketball? Sam and I are. Tonight, we are taking the overs, the absolute overs on a couple games in the NBA. Damian Lillard has been struggling. That's an easy one. Steph Curry may be back coming up. So looking at the rest of the games for the week, that's a good one that we're going to have to take. Klay Thompson is a good bet for overs because there's nobody else left on this Warriors team, right? So if you think you know basketball, then try to turn your basketball knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players with more stats than any other DF app. Just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Use promo code LIGHTYEARS, and you'll get $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. And of course, the Light Years podcast brought to you by the Lawnmower 5.0 Manscaped. Dude, if you're ready to spice up your Thanksgiving as we dive headfirst into mountains of mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce, let's talk about the unsung hero of the holiday season, the Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. That's right. It's time to go cold turkey on your old razor. Take care of your own turkey leg with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Visit manscaped.com. Use Light Years for 20% off and free shipping. And enjoy Thanksgiving in style with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Gobble, gobble, boys. So
gobble.
Get 20% off, free shipping. The code LIGHTYEARS, manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping. Manscaped.com. Use code LIGHTYEARS. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
Will you be manscaping after you've eaten turkey watching the Niners game?
That sounds dangerous. Because I've got like 4 shots in me and 3 glasses of wine.
And they got some football like anger, like, oh, it's an interception, and next thing you know, you're cutting your gotta be careful. So I think the rule here is everyone should manscape before they start drinking.
Yeah, it's like a morning. When you shave, I shaved this morning, right? It's like get it in the morning. Get it.
Can you grow facial hair?
It's disgusting. You know me for a decade. I can, but it's gross, right? Like it's like yours looks good. Like it looks good on your face. Like mine's, if I grow it out, looks like pubes. It's just not. It's not a good. It's like the Chinese in me. It's
yeah,
just
my people are nothing if not good at growing body hair. So
see, like I have none, right? So yeah, I have none.
It is what it is. All right, so I really think this current state of the team, they're going to make a trade. If this doesn't turn around, if this does not turn around by mid-January, so I don't think they're going to make a trade, November 16th or December 3rd. But I think if Kuminga and Moody do not establish themselves in the rotation, they're faced with a Wiseman situation, which is year 3, extension eligible. If they're not in your future, like you're not going to keep them because you're not ready to commit that money and they're just not the guy, right? You kind of have to move them. And then secondarily, if they don't take that step, this team's probably going to be floating around play-in range anyway. Another reason you have to make a trade, because you're not good enough. So, and it's early, but signs seem to point to Dunleavy being a little more aggressive than Bob in this sort of stuff. And so it's early, but the way things are trending, man, I think they're going to end up making trades around the deadline. And so where this ties in, we got our first trade rumor of the season. Your favorite player, the Bulls, Zach Lavine. The Bulls are open. Basically, summarizing Shams, the Bulls are very close to just hitting eject and seeing what they can get for Lavine, maybe a Caruso, DeMar DeRozan. They know their team sucks. They know it's over, and don't expect their key players to be on the team past the deadline is kind of the general vibe I'm getting. And what's interesting on the Lavine one is he just signed a 4-year extension, but it seems like both sides are like, this, let's just move you somewhere else, So while the Warriors are not listed as a team that would be interested in him, and that does not surprise me, he doesn't scream Golden State Warrior on face value. We've seen these trades come out of nowhere all the time. We didn't know the Warriors were trading for Andrew Wiggins until the day before it happened. Nobody knew Dame was going to go to Milwaukee. We all thought he was going to Miami. So I don't put too much stock into the Warriors not being listed as like being thirsty for Zach Lavine, meaning anything. But I guess where's your hat with trying to acquire someone like him?
Good Lord, Sam. Good Lord. We're not doing
this. Should I trade machine this up for you? Should I show you?
Yeah, show me the hypothetical. Jesus Christ, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest hypothetical is Clay for him because they make the same amount of money. I already know where your head's at with that take, so we're just going to ignore that one.
Yeah.
But you could do something like Chris Paul.
Give it to me.
Chris Paul,
okay.
Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody.
Okay.
Just from he makes $40 million.
Yeah.
You would have to figure out a way to get that contract. Chris Paul makes 30. Those other two combined for about, 10 to 12.
In a first.
So, no, I don't think you have to throw in a pick
because that contract is so gross, right? You think they don't even have to?
They get salary relief and 2 young cheap players. Like, I don't know. Do you think they're doing better than this in the for a guy like Lavine?
So okay,
this is just or your other option is Clay and maybe a pick.
No.
They make the same money, or it's almost impossible because Wiggins makes 24. It gets very complicated to try to trade Wiggins for him in any capacity, but it's doable. Anyway, let's look at this one.
Yeah,
just from
let me
Chris Paul and both the 30-year guys for Lavine.
All right, so I'm gonna walk backwards a little bit. Short answer is I would do this trade. So I cannot believe it. But okay, so the Clay stuff is a non-starter because you've got to really. Clay provides his floor space. I know he's not shooting well, but he provides the floor spacing. Then you get a guy that just essentially does what he does. I'd rather just have Clay. Both guys are horrible defensively at this point. Not horrible. Both guys aren't great defensively at this point. And people are saying, "Oh, Lavine's a great scorer." Is he, or is he just a good scorer on a bad team? Okay, so throw that out. Wiggins.
I will say this: Zach LaVine's like significantly better than Jordan Poole.
Well,
as a scorer,
yeah.
like he does average 25 on like every year, 39% on a ton of threes and like over 50% on his twos. He's a gunner. You're right, but like at least it goes in the basket more often than some other guys.
So I would like the Bradley. So it's the Bradley Beal argument, right? So throw the Clay one out. Wiggins, I throw that one out.
It is kind of the Bradley Beal
argument. It's the
argument.
same thing. They might like him more, but I throw the Wiggins out. You talk about contracts being not possible. I talk about, dude, that's your best wing defender. As bad as he's been, he still is your best wing defender. You got to keep him. Now,
if he's still sucking 40 games later,
I don't know what
I don't know that you're going to be able to trade him if you want to anyway.
I don't know. His contract is still good. I mean, his contract is still good.
His contract is good, assuming he shoots over 30%. There's no contract that's good for 10% from three. You know?
Yeah. So this is doable. I'm working with this. Again, contract is contract. That's not I'm not worried about that. Unless you tell me that they've got a better guy that they can get for the Chris Paul contract. Kuminga's just not a guy. Now, the Bulls are going to have to like Kuminga, and they're going to have to like Moody. I think most teams are going to like Moody, but maybe not love Moody. I don't know. Most teams are going to love Jonathan Kuminga, but they may just have to get off that Lavine contract. That's what this is, and I think Lavine probably just doesn't want to be there. I would do this only because those two guys aren't providing you depth anyway. You can argue Pajamski is going to take Chris Paul's backup point guard minutes, which is fine. And now you've just got way more scoring. The closing lineups are going to be a question mark. But Sam, I just think I would do this because you get to take away some of the question marks about Kuminga and Moody who weren't providing you stuff anyway. And then if you were to tell me, and this is just one game of Podziemski being great as the backup guard, that he can play that role moving forward, then what is kind of the point of Chris Paul on this team, right? So then you can now close lineups theoretically with Steph, Clay, Draymond, and then you can put around them Wiggins and then shooting with Lavine. To me, that's still defensively. I don't know what you're going to do there, but that is great offense. That is now great offense for your team, and it does shift Wiggins to being kind of the fourth option, which is the fourth option, which is probably better for him. Long story short, I actually think I'd do that trade. Do you think Mike Dunleavy does that trade?
I don't know. And my biggest hesitation, I'm playing with the trade machine way too much right now. But what I was gonna say, my biggest hesitation with trading for Lavine is he does address one of your needs, which is someone who can get you 20 plus efficiently and be a second option next to Steph. But he doesn't address your second biggest need, which is some form of size and athleticism in the front court. Like in a perfect world, I think I'd rather have them acquire a Siakam because he can address both those things. He can give you that secondary scoring punch you lack, but he also is a front court guy, which they desperately don't have. And my question is, you really only have one opportunity to make one of these trades because you can't trade Kuminga twice. Once you traded those young guys and those picks, you can't get them back. Is it worth blowing it all for a Zach Lavine? I don't know.
He might be the only guy out there. I know the chat's throwing Pascal Siakam on. You guys know I agree, but I mean, is he out there? People are throwing, is Alex Caruso in the trade? I know. Is Alex Caruso going to get more in a trade than Zach Lavine, which is hilarious, even though, I mean, can you argue Lavine's a better player? Probably. But, yeah, I mean, you're right. Can they wait till the offseason to flip that CP3 contract? But again, now you're waiting till the offseason, right? And that's another season gone. Because it looks like this season they're going to need something to push them over the hill if they're even going to get over. Well, ironically, if you can argue they're over the hill, but they need to make a trade for them to become a true title contender. And is the Lavine trade failed? Look at that.
Failed because you can't trade Corey Joseph.
Can they just release
of December?
Just release Corey Joseph? They just
have to wait till the 15th of December to pull this off.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean,
I wouldn't do this. This is gross. This is disgusting. I don't know what this is.
This is just we're just wholesale changing the roster.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
These are pointless. I think it's I don't know that they for sure need to do a trade, but it's like I think the thing you should take away from this, or I would tell listeners take away from this, is like the clock is officially on. Kuminga has 30 games to prove he can be a more consistent contributor. Moody has maybe 30 games to prove it. Maybe they don't trade him at the deadline, but I do think like they're getting into this point where it's like, look, man, if you're getting passed up by the rookies, we've indirectly acknowledged you're not our future. Yeah. So it's still early. It's still mid-November, but it's, 2 months goes by quick is all I'm saying. And that's kind of what we're talking about now. They got what? They got 2 months to figure it out.
They're 6-6. It might be a shot when Steph comes back that they're 2, 3, 4. Draymond comes back. Are they 4 games under 500? I mean, that's the exact same thing as the Warriors last season when they were in 3-7, right? Like this thing moves fast. Are they just battling to get out of the play-in round again this season? Because it's certainly looking like it. The schedule doesn't get any easier. They've been at home now, but they've lost a lot of these games over. They can't shoot at home. And they might need to make one of those moves. There's no more let's wait till next season, right, for this team anymore. I think when Bob Myers was at the helm, it was very much Clay's hurt. Maybe we can wait till next season, or maybe we think we're not good enough. Maybe we just hold on to these guys and see what happens. We're at the point where I think they kind of know what they have from Kuminga now. And if Kuminga's going to end up being a very good player one day, I got a feeling, Sam, it's not with the Warriors.
And look, how many times did they say optionality? That's what this is, man. You have $80 million in expiring contracts. You have 2 third-year players. In a different universe, Kuminga takes that step and looks like the next Siakam, and Moses Moody looks like Desmond Bane, and you're like, okay, old guys, you're out. We're in this way. Well, there's the other reality, which is the old guys look old and the young guys don't look ready, and you package them all together for guys who are not 21 or 38. They're like in the middle. They're 28. And you go that way. So that's the whole thing with optionality.
How old is Zach Lavine? 28.
28, yeah.
Yep.
How old is Siakam? 28. Yep. How old is Jokic? 28. Probably not getting Jokic. Would be nice though. I'm just gonna list every 28-year-old. How old is Wiggins? 28.
Well,
so
might be
Looney only 27 though. Looney is ageless. The young loon. I don't know. Like it's the Podz thing is awesome, and it's cool that they have a player that I'm excited to see them develop for an extended period of time. But the guys who are a couple years older than him, you got a couple months.
Yeah, I agree.
Chet says he's got more of a Manu Ginobili vibe. I love how like our comps are Manu and Steve Nash. Like probably unfair, but
you're asking me for my comp. I'm not going with it. I like the other side. I like the Steve Nash one, but I'm going to hold on to it. I need to see more. But.
Do you have another secret comp?
No, that was it. I just don't want to talk about why. Yeah, it feels like I'm getting too crazy about it. Considering I wasn't too bought in on him, right?
White guys from Santa Clara. It's not complicated.
So again, I didn't know. I truly didn't know last night when I was watching the game. I truly didn't know that, and I should have known this because Steve Nash is one of my favorite players. That he also went to Santa Clara, and I'm just like, oh wow, it does work perfect. And somebody's like, oh, his favorite player growing up was Steve Nash, and I'm like, wait, hold on, isn't Pajamski like 19 years old? There's no way he watched Steve Nash. I was watching Steve Nash when I was not like 15 years old. What is he watching? Is he just watching tape? He definitely wasn't watching Steve Nash.
Steve Nash retired in, well, let's see. The best of Steve Nash
was primo Steve Nash, though. You know what I mean?
Primo Steve Nash was the OOs. Yeah. So, and
he was 1 year old.
Was born in, I think, 2003. Yeah, I'm calling BS that 3-year-old Podz was like really geeking out to MVP Nash.
Funny.
But maybe they threw film on for him. Maybe they just
sure that's it.
You can be like him. It's not helpful to throw on like LeBron film for him. Like, yeah, you probably can't be like him.
I think that's how it goes for the most of the living world. You can throw on film a Steph. You can't really throw on film a LeBron. That's why Steph is so much.
Pod's first words were 7 seconds or less.
Yeah, he plays fast. He
does.
Plays fast. Smart though, not dumb. It's fast, but smart.
Yeah, when he was in college, he averaged 9 rebounds a game, which was like in general, if you rebound the ball, that means you're reading what's going on pretty fast. Like, it's not always a 1-for-1, but like guys who rebound tend to have some level of feel.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny. He said like he thinks he can average a triple-double in the NBA, give him some time. And I was like, oh God, this guy. But maybe that was the other thing that stood out to me seeing him live. He has that like Steph quality of where he loves to play to the crowd. He was very into it. He was sticking his tongue out at Joe Lacob a lot. Pretty funny.
He's like, yo, I'm about to get paid because I know they ain't paying these third-year guys. I'm about to get paid on this team, baby. This is my team in 5 years.
He's like, Joe, I am your guy to sell to Danville after Steph retires.
I mean, I cannot argue against it. He is a fun.
We're about 4 months away from the Podz jersey being the second most common jersey you see in Chase Center behind Steph. I'm calling my shot. You're gonna see so many little kids with Podziemski jerseys.
It's a great name too. By the way, is it Podziemski? Because Kalena kept saying Podziemski, and I'm just like, is it Po or Pod?
I've only heard Podziemski,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard him say it, so I don't know. Every announcer other than Kalena says Podziemski, so
yeah. And he's like saying,
let's get some official clarification.
Yeah.
Peninsula dads riding up the Caltran in Podz jerseys. You know it.
We could probably get his dad on the show at some point here.
Maybe we should. Guy's a talker. You saw him at the draft night.
I did see him. I mean, military guy, man. It's great. He's intense. Kid's intense. It's fucking awesome. I love it.
Should we end it here?
Let's go.
It's a good show. Appreciate everyone. Or we want to take a couple goon calls. Take a couple goon calls, I guess.
Let it ride.
Had a conversation with a listener last night. He said he loves listening to the two of us, but he hates when Gio calls in, especially.
Oh, I can't wait.
What's up, man?
And Gio's. The thing about Gio, you're muted, brother. If you're, yeah, he might be cooked.
Half his takes are cooked, so it's okay.
I love him. He's the best.
Yeah. But maybe number one Doomer. He might be number one in my Doomer power rankings on light years.
But he's always ready to call in, and then he's just never. We can never hear him. Well, all right.
Hey,
well,
guys.
we'll go to.
What's up, Tanish?
Hey,
How you doing?
can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. I'm just gonna say I low key feel like I jinxed it. Like I came on the pod like 3 games ago. I said we're gonna be.
Oh, I remember.
And this could not have been more of a disappointing 3-game slate. Draymond with 2 ejections in a row, like that was rough. But I had a question for you guys. Without the basically like the core, because Clay isn't playing like Clay. Clay's playing like Poole more than anything, honestly, right now. Do you guys think the team has enough depth to like be 500 even and not have to dig itself out of the hole like once Steph Curry comes back?
No team has depth to come back from their best player being out. I think this team though is uniquely set up to have that depth coming in. I think especially with Chris Paul taking some of those minutes. But the problem, dude, is like Draymond's gonna be out for 5+ games. Yeah. So now you're talking about your 2 best players that anchor the offense and defense. I mean, it's not looking great.
Yeah, I mean, your best case scenario is this period of time is what Wiggins and Kuminga specifically need to get themselves going. If those guys are going to play poorly, like it's a wrap. But, now we're just talking about, it's like, yes, if everyone in your rotation sucks, you indeed suck, so I don't know. It's hard to be super optimistic about it because those guys have just been subpar the whole season. But, I think back to last year, both times Steph went down with injuries, it looked like they were cooked, and Clay stepped up. Poole stepped up. Dante DiVincenzo stepped up in those moments. So you can't write it off as like, this is exactly what Chris Paul needs to kind of figure his stuff out, and Wiggins needs to figure his stuff out. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking.
We saw from Podz.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend, and he's been a Clay hater since the Lakers series, and every game so far, I've had to talk him off the edge of trade him. Nah, I'm out.
That's a little unfair.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, hopefully Clay can find a shot and Wiggins can find a shot with like more attempts because Steph's out. I mean, honestly, I don't even care if we lose. Like, guys, like just shoot, like make your shots, please.
Yeah, that's a good point because if they're probably going to lose some of these games, but if it means that those guys are going to be locked in and in rhythm by the time Steph and Draymond comes back, I think you can argue, that's a win, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of sad, but maybe the next 5 games is, let's assume Steph is out for 3 of them and Draymond's out for all 5, maybe more. If you could tell me the next 5 games they go 1-4, 2-3. But you tell me that Clay and Wiggins get back in rhythm. Yeah, I mean, what choice do I have? I'll take that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Sneesh. Keep moving. We'll give Gio one more shot.
Oh no.
No, guys. You see me?
Oh boy.
Right there.
Oh
Right
boy.
there.
You're a robot. You are a robot.
Almost on. How about now? This is.
I don't know how this happens every time. It is amazing.
Only to Gio.
I know, Gio. You are unbelievable. And we get him on every time, and it's a mess every time. But we love you. All right. Who do we got
moving.
next?
Oh, what's going
hey,
on?
what's up, man? It's
Morning,
been a while.
Good, man. Good morning.
You coming on when the days are dark. All right.
Yeah.
Are you in a college dorm?
No, like my guest room doubles, like my office doubles as a guest room, so we have like a little loft bed kind of setup.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
What's up?
Little diary hours early. I think Rudy Gobert's a hoe. Like it's a lot of the Draymond stuff is gonna be worse because like Rudy couldn't stand on his own too. Like he got dragged around like a child because Draymond's real and Rudy Gobert's. No offense to the French people, but he's French. And so to get all that stuff out the way, one thing that I keep seeing is people are assuming like Steve Kerr has like a small person fetish. And I think it's much less that and more about how rigid he is about like the ball handler wing big thing. Cause as much as like Moody's a guard, Kojo's a guard, Podz is a guard, Gary Payton's a guard, right? Like they don't get used the same. Like, and the offense that Steve and Steph and Clay and Draymond want to play requires multiple ball handlers to function well. So like if anybody goes out, we're probably just going to be tiny. But I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting predicament, and I think that's the argument as to why we probably shouldn't have gotten a 39-year-old guy who's my height. But I mean, hey, we're here now. So
are we doing the Chris Paul? This isn't going to work thing right now? 12 games
I think it can work. I think it's way too early to say anything can or can't work. I don't have strong opinions. You're not about to catch me again with the recklessly deep stuff. But I don't think the team would be worse if we went and got DeMar DeRozan. I only say DeMar DeRozan because it's realistic. He's got an expiring salary that's kind of similar.
And we know Chicago's on the verge of blowing it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I still think all things come back to are Kuminga and Moody gonna be a part of this team or not? Because if they're not, you kind of have to see what you can do with them in terms of a trade as well. So I like I said earlier, they got 2 months to see if those are going to be foundational pieces or not, because end of the day, you're going to end up having to make a decision one way or another.
Yeah.
Cool, Ty. Appreciate you.
Good stuff, man. All right, sir.
Get one more up here. Got a few calls.
Yeah.
Francis.
Look at the AV. Look at here. You might be muted. And there we go.
There we go. Hi, guys.
How you doing?
I'm good. The other show, you guys, Andy asked, Sammy asked a question about what are your big ideas for the season right now, and I think the league is too big right now. Like, we got like all these teams that are loading up on like long athletic wings and long big bodies, just partly because of Jokic, but partly because that's the way the league is trending right now. Like, you look at the last how many years, top 5 MVP voters, there are like 3 or 4 big guys in there all the time. You look at what Anthony Davis did last playoffs. You look at the league and it's getting bigger. And the only way we have beaten that in the past is that we've had shooters, right? We've had the best shooter in the world. We've had Klay Thompson. And if they're not going to be hitting at that level, is the trade to also go find shooters, or is the trade to try and move where the trend is going with the league and get a little bigger if you find some things that work?
By the way, can
you mute yourself?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Perfect.
I for some reason I'm hearing myself through your mic. So thank you for muting when you're not talking, Francis. To me, the thing to call out is the way they've beaten bigger teams is with versatility and athleticism. So they, Iguodala, Draymond Green, Harrison Barnes, obviously Kevin Durant, Andrew Wiggins. They haven't had 7-footers. They've had a lot of 6'7" guys who can play both ways and just can win with athleticism. And that's why I keep thinking it's like, if Kuminga is not going to be that guy, you got to look at moving him to get a guy who can be that guy. He obviously profiles as that player, but I don't know. He's young. It might be 4 years before he gets there. And we don't have 4 more years,
4 more years. Also, they tried to do the big going big thing. They did try. It's just the wrong draft. So Evan Mobley and Chet Holmgren look pretty good. And then there's another big guy that got drafted high in between. And, sometimes,
Chet would be perfect.
It's how the chips fall.
Well,
they won a championship, all that, it's all worth it. But it's like, to your point, it's like, I'm sure they would like a big. It was what I'm trying to get at. I'm sure they would like a big to combat, but those are dime a dozen in terms of impact ones like that can be good off the bat. And end of the day, the way that they play with Steph is, to what Sam said, is playing that style. They just need more guys that can play that style. Kuminga just looks like he can't. Andrew Wiggins can. Looks like he suddenly can't. Klay Thompson can, and sometimes he cannot. Right now he cannot, right? And Draymond can, but fucking guy just is going to get himself suspended for almost 10 games here. So it's just, they have the some of the guys there that are a little bit over the hill, and then they have guys that they thought were going to be there that, man, are not going to be there. So Zach Lavine, here we come.
And to the final point, like, yeah, if they could get Bam Adebayo, obviously, but they can't. If they could get a Giannis, obviously, I'm pretty sure Milwaukee's not trading him. Like, we can go down the list. So I don't think it's opposition to a big as much as like
they ain't there.
The teams who have the bigs who matter are not interested in moving the bigs who matter. So it's
Joel Embiid at maybe.
Siakam is the best big, and he's more of a power forward, power wing, but like he might be the best available option. I don't know. Karl Anthony Towns, how would you feel about him, Andy? There's rumors they want to move off of him,
And they're first in the West, so like that. I mean, come on.
I have a very hard time seeing a Warriors-Wolves trade happening in season this season right now.
Last time the Warriors did a trade. How about Utah? Can we poke them for one of their long athletic bigs that they have? Do you think they would be willing to get some draft picks and some young players just for Laurie or Walker Kessler, if possible?
I assume they're. Hold on, mute yourself. I assume they're building their team around those two guys. But hey, Kelly Olynyk. Oh wait, no.
I was just
John Collins.
Oh, John Collins. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I don't know what else to say. I would love to get Lowry. I mean, that dude can light it up and would solve all the Warriors scoring issues. Like, can you imagine offensive Lowry and Steph? You'd be asking Draymond to guard the entire court, but it would work. Okay. Francis, we appreciate you. Have a great one. We got to figure out your issue with the feedback, but anyway.
It's happening with a lot of people. I feel like it's just when they don't use AirPods or something, because we can just hear it out of their
probably a good call. Yeah. Or if you're using a mic without AirPods. Okay. Actually, let's end it there. Appreciate everyone who called in. Have a great